Woohoo! We are live. PulseX live show. We're on. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Let us go. Of course, I love this heat map of. I used to use this all the time way back in the day. Maybe way back in I don't know 2017 or wherever it was. It was pretty popular, but I haven't used it that much. I know that Richard posts this a lot with the top 25 on it, and Hex is just shining light. It is a sea of lava, as they say. Pretty crazy. Look at this thing. But hey, we've had a bit of a rebound, haven't we? And is it one of those rebounds as we go down the bear market or what? So we'll see. We've obviously got lots to talk about. We're going to get into it for sure. And here's our leaders. We've got the stables are green, the stable coins are green, and maybe a few little other ones. But that's where this is pretty neat heat map though. And we're going to get into a lot of stuff. So let's go. Marco says, "Pump it, baby." We're definitely going to pump it. And of course, we're going to be talking about a few topics. We're obviously going to talk about Hex price. We're going to talk about the market. We're going to talk about our polls that we've got. We've got 2 polls, so that'll be pretty insightful for you based on the community. And of course, we're going to look at PulseX results and including day 36. Also going to look at Pulsechain and finally wrap up with the liquid loans with the referral because it's going to be a pretty cool opportunity as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun for sure. Woohoo! Says Easy. Hey, good to see Easy in the house. And let me post it through. I'm just going to make sure my audio is running nice and loud. Let's double check that. Make sure that is going. Yeah, seems fine to me. So got no poll today in the chat, but we've got a couple of polls we're going to look at for sure. That should be fun. Woohoo! I made it on time. Says it's now. So nice to see that, and a great use of the emojis. You've got the PulseX emoji up. You're the first one to post that. It's now. So I just added the PulseX emoji to the Hex Token channel membership. So great to see you use that first up. Nice one. And of course, Matt and Barley says, "Here we go." Nice one, Matt. Good to see you. And Bintang to the rules. And Taffrin's got the money bags. Woo-hoo. Brendan's in the house as well. Woo-hoo. Nice one. So we're going to get warmed up, folks. Now, I understand, I think Matty Allen's show's on now, the Quant Gang. I tried to leave the show towards the end of that since there's only 2 of them on there today. But a big happy birthday to Cream the Dream. And man, they're doing cool stuff out there. I love they got nice little birthday present of these really cool sunglasses. They've got lights, not sunglasses. They're kind of futuristic glasses with the shiny lights. So a big shout out to Maddie, and of course, happy birthday to Kareem the Dream out there. Remember, you got to have the max stakes out there to make it. That's pretty much how it works. So Brownie's got good evening all. Woohoo! Nice one. And yeah. So that PulseX just wraps it up. I've got those 3 emojis. We've got. Let me post on those. We've got. Sam Schaefer's in the house. Sam Schaefer, you rocking on the DMB. You beat me to it. But pretty cool. Charity says, if you had a choice of swap for PLS or sacrifice for liquid loans, which would you choose? Easy. A choice of to swap for PLS. Well, they're quite different choices there. I'd probably say I'm not swapping for PLS. I'm already in the PLS sacrifice. I'm very happy with my position. Sacrifice for liquid loans would be the case in that one. So yeah, Chris Pete, the ratio is going to be tricky, but we think that a lot of people are going to be swapping PLX for Pulse rather than the other way around. So you got to watch it on the ratios there. Chris P says, I think my parents are going to be too proud of me when I finally come out of the closet and tell them I'm a Pulsexual. I think so, Chris. I think so a lot. That's pretty hilarious. And Sam, you bet me to it. Hi, Kiwi Hexton. Nice one. And Hex Token, I guess, is what you're saying there. But you posted the PulseX symbol in the chat there. That looks really good too. It really pops out. So that's pretty nice. Just looking at it on the other video screen there. So big shout out to Sam. Very nice. And if is in the house, woohoo! And Mr. A says, do you think we will hit $1 for Pulse launch? No, I don't think we'll hit the $1. I think we could hit the 60-70 cent range is where I think, and more certain about the all-time high, but possibly 60 or 70 under the right conditions. It really depends on how Richard signals the block height and the mainnet. But we've got those 3 things. We've got the block height. We've got possibly even the AMM bot if he spins news around that in a certain way. But the block height, if he does give us any signals around that, and of course the mainnet, those will be the catalyst in my view for a real big pump. But in saying that, I think that the chart is looking good for a turnaround, and at the moment it's looking pretty nice. So we're going to get into all that. I posted a price prediction video of a scenario with the DMI where if that happens, then that's a good signal. That's our signal, and we should see the market really move up in that rally as it runs up. So pretty cool. We're going to talk about a poll that we did around that we did the first, what was it? The first premiere video. So basically I pre-record the video on the price prediction. That's the one I've just done before this live show. And then I just posted it. And then of course I can chat in there and it's pre-recorded. It was kind of cool to let it happen the first time. I might just do those randomly from time to time. Otherwise I'll just keep to the pre-recorded format and the video format. And live format. So it was an interesting go there. Mr. A says, can PLX do 100x in 6 months from launch? Sure it can. Brazology says, I'm ready for a great show. The only caution on that is the market conditions, what's happening with the monetary supply is the only thing I'd caution about that, and I have talked about that a couple of shows ago. We must be cognizant of the impact the Federal Reserve may have on all markets. That's not just crypto is not excluded from that. But in saying that, I think the fundamentals inside of Pulsechain, PulseX, and Hex, of course, may be the shining light on the hill amongst crypto, and the rest of the crypto market may get more severely hurt. So we'll see how that plays out, but definitely it's looking good for that. Brazology says, I'm ready for a great show. Thanks for the stream. Hey, Brazology, always appreciate it. And one of our star mods in the chat there, nice. SF says, Mr. A is water wet. Yeah, that's true. Dr. Mr. A says, do you think this is the Hex breakout we have been waiting for, or is this another fake out? I think it's just possibly the beginning. We're going to look at a poll shortly about that. And Sam says, where do you get that wrench? You get promoted to the wrench. You have to become a moderator. So, of course, we're going to do that for you now. So there we are, Sam. Congratulations. You now got a wrench. Good stuff. Good times. It's now says sometimes not when it's really cold. And then finally we got SKB's in the house. SKB. SKB was our first channel member, so a big shout out to SKB in that chat. And of course, very, very cool. SKB, I think you're in the Richard Hart Club, which is pretty cool on that one. So nice one. Crypto Tycoon. Woohoo! All right, so here we are, folks. Let's get into it. We've got a few people watching now. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, hit the bell. We are trying to head towards 3,000 subscribers. That is a pretty big goal, and it gets this channel out of the small promoters for Pulsechain and PulseX and into the medium-sized one, is what I call it. Once you hit that 3,000 mark, I'm actually going to do a video on all the YouTubers in the space, like I did a couple months back. I did a whole video on the top 10, so I'm going to do a video with the whole space and do some numbers around that, because I think it's pretty interesting to see how the growth of the community is happening, and promoters in the space is one of those indicators. And so I'm going to look at that. I think it'll be pretty interesting. Now, there's always different reasons why channels grow, not all for the same reason. So we're going to look at that. Yeah, so we're at 2,939 subscribers at the moment, and of course we want to head towards 3,000. So we need 61 subscribers. Don't forget to share the video. If you haven't subscribed, smash that subscribe button, like, and hit the bell, of course. Let's go. So here we are. We're in a sea of red, folks. After a little rally, we had a little bit of rally, bit of recovery rally, and then, of course, it's gone a sea of red again, down 4% on most of them on the leader. So let's jump over to Nomics. Nomics is red, of course, except for the top 10 is red, except for the green, which is Hex. Woohoo! That's what we like to see. We love that. We love that decorrelation. We love the fact that Richard's designed Hex for the Hart's Law. Beautiful stuff there. So basically, because the pool's not largely bounded to Bitcoin or Ethereum or any of the other pairs like that, it doesn't move in the same regard. And of course, 85% of Hex is in the USDC pair, making it more of a stable token. And once again, people can still sell it down. But that would mean that they're selling down into, if they're going to sell it into crypto, they're selling down into a market that potentially could be going into a bear market. So that is the counterance to people selling down, even if their US dollar stays the same, because they think they can buy more other cryptos. So it's kind of a counterbalance to that point. So pretty nice. And of course, with so much news coming out with Pulsechain, PulseX, who wants to sell? You want to accumulate. That's what you want to do. All right, so let's have a look at the hourly on the chart here. Now, I've done a full video on the indicator, so I'm not going to go through that. If you watch the previous video, price prediction, that I just posted, Hex price prediction, and we talked about the DMI. So we're not going to talk about that at the moment. But here we are, nice green candle today. Look at this, beautiful stuff. Really is looking good. And of course, we're still in this range though. We're waiting for a breakout. We do in this bigger triangle. So let's say we were getting up here. we might end up, the closer we get to this point, we might end up getting, 27 something cents, maybe 26 cents by the time we have a nice little breakout as we get closer. And it could happen much closer, right? Because look how strong this run up was. And of course, this green arrow mirrors that, right? So it can happen pretty fast, right? So even if it happened tomorrow or today, even if let's say it happened today, I mean, you're talking about it can happen pretty fast. So we'll be watching out for that for sure. This is the end of the PulseX Sacrifice. So if we do a little time zone on that, we have got 22 days or 21 days to go until PulseX Sacrifice ends. And of course, then we've got the launch. Now, my question is this, and we're going to get this into this, is that we had some pretty magical moves in Pulsechain today. In fact, I was supposed to bring that up. Let me just pull it up first. We're going to pull up Pulsechain, and I've got the Explorer here. I'm going to cover this first, actually, because I think it makes sense to cover it now. So we had Pulsechain. We're expecting Pulsechain to do testnet 3. And Richard did indicate us to it would be Pulsechain testnet 3. And let me just pull up this one, and we're going to pull that forward too. So this is the timeline, Pulsechain timeline, and we were expecting a Pulsechain testnet 3, right? We're currently on day, I think it's 53 of Pulsechain 2. So we're on day 53. We've been running all the way through here from, I think it was the 12th of December, all the way through. And this is where our question mark at the moment. And we're looking, waiting for a Pulsechain testnet 3 to start. We expect it to be relatively short based on Richard's comments, and that would be basically the AMM bot would rerun. So he also talked about the fact that some code had to be written around that. And so it was just a little bit hazy about had the code really been written, or was code had to be more written. It was kind of like in that later phase. And of course, today we've had a Pulsechain testnet just rocket up with the transactions from 1.4 to now almost 35 million. When I did the daily vid, it was at 17 million. We're up here. So does that, if you're thinking about what could cause so many transactions, surely unless it was some dummy third-party DApp running heaps of transactions through or something. I don't know how they'd get, maybe they have enough pulse with it, I don't know. But one might guess, as a guess, is are they actually testing the AMM bot on here? Is that why it jumped from 1.4 up to 35? So let me know in the chat what you think about that, because this is quite bizarre with the sudden jump. Or are they just hard testing the network? Are they just really ramping up the transactions to really push the pipe? If you think of a pipe, and of course you've got a certain amount of blocks and transactions going through, are they really just trying to test that side of it? So let me know. There's all these transactions here, contract calls going through, and so it'd be interesting to see what you think that is. I don't see a lot of transactions, particularly in these blocks at the moment. Are they just going through certain blocks and really loading up certain blocks? Are they doing some hard testing like that? There's 4 transactions in this one. It really is hard to tell from that. So let me know what you think about that. What's now says wrench it up, Sam. Yeah, woohoo! So Sam, you got the wrench. And Mr. A says, I come daily and ask questions for myself and onboards. Loyal Hex Token fan, can I get a wrench too? Says Mr. A. Very, very cool. Well, that's a pretty good argument there. Let me get in the house for sure. Let me just jump over here. We're going to jump up to here just a moment. Get out of that. We go, bam. All right, so there we are, Mr. A. Welcome to the moderators with the old wrench. Pulse Debater, which is you got one of the funniest names in the community for sure. Woo-hoo-hoo. Nice one to see you in the chat. Matt and Barley says, yeah, that video sounds cool. They will be talking about you one day very soon, says Matt. A big nice one, Matt. And Hexbuller says, hey guys, let's go. Absolutely, Hexbuller. And a big shout out Hexbuller on Twitter, really doing wonderful promoting, retweeting Hex Token videos. So appreciate that, Hexbuller. Possible says all the fellow Hex Pulse YouTubers are talking about Hex Token YouTube. I could Heartbeat said you were Australian, woohoo, like Russell Crowe and Split Ends, woohoo. Yeah, that's right. I am a Kiwi from New Zealand, so not Australian, but it doesn't really matter too much. It's the down under accent, I guess, is the way it works. Very cool. And Mr. Maybe go green first. Go green. Yeah. Become a member. Hey, Has Fires in the house. Woohoo! Nice to see so many Hex Token channel members in the chat today. Real big shout out to all of you. And as I'd always do my bow to the Hex Token channel members, big shout out. And nice one. SF says, how long did Richard Hart say testnet 3 will be? It was going to be short, and so people indicated maybe 2 weeks, but it would probably be longer than that, is my guess. It's really hard to tell whether he's going to sneak it into Pulsechain testnet 2. Now, we were expecting Pulsechain testnet 3 last time he talked, that there would be a new block and a new block height for that. And also that they would have any of the improvements crossed over too. I'm still expecting a Pulsechain testnet 3. I'm still expecting it, but today there's some pretty unusual transactions. If we just refresh this again, we're 34.7. So there seems to be these big jumps, incremental jumps in the transaction. So maybe they're just hitting certain blocks as we go. We'd certainly have to spend a little time going through all the transactions and stuff to find that out. So if someone's done that, let me know. Hesbriar's got all the stuff in there. Hey, man, that's so cool. Looks so good as far with the cool emojis. And the Hex Pulse dude says, hey, buddy, great catching you live. Love your stuff, mate. Hey, appreciate the Hex Pulse dude. Big shout out to you as well. We'll have you in the land of Aussie, bud. Happy to be an Anzac. That's right. So very, very cool. I like that too. And Pavlova is from New Zealand too, lol. Yeah, that's what we own that. We own that. But of course, Aussies compete with us on the Pavlova, but it's true. There's definitely different types of Pavlova. There's the crusty side and there's the softy Pavlova. It's pretty tasteful with some vanilla ice cream. And if you like some fruit with it, you can have that too. Nice one. All right. So you could even have Pavlova with Bintang beer, probably, Matt. Probably could do that. All right. So this is really interesting stuff on the testnet today. 1.4 million is what we're just slowly creeping up to that. And then suddenly we jump up to this almost 35 million transactions. That's what would do that. Like I said, there's only a couple of scenarios. Maybe hard testing the network. Maybe it is the AMM bot is far further ahead than we think, and they've actually tested it on version 2. It's pretty interesting stuff. Now we did see a few updates on the GitLab. It wasn't anything obvious to me that was related to this, but maybe I should spend a bit more time thinking about that. But definitely something big happened today on this network, and it's probably well worth muddling through to see what that might be, unless someone has seen someone post something about that, maybe from the devs or something. All right, so very, very cool. So we're coming along here, day 53, from what I recall here on the testnet 2. We did 77 days of testnet 1. So we're actually getting pretty along there. What's that, about 67% of the time so far of this? So 2/3, just over 2/3. And we're waiting for Pulsechain testnet 3 with the AMM bot run. So it's going to be interesting. PulseX, of course, is going on Pulsechain testnet 2. So what that could be, could that have a lot of stuff on there? Of course, we're understanding that there was two coders put on choosing the DAO incentive token system. So we'll wait to see a bit more on that as well. But that's pretty much the highlights there. Obviously, we've got PulseX running as well in parallel to the Pulsechain testnet 2. And that's pretty much the highlights there. We haven't heard a lot about Hex scale much further than that, so not too much news from there. So these big whale buy sides are a bit more quiet at the moment. But if we get any news on that, we'll definitely talk about that as for sure. Yeah, I think Funding Jim's interview with, I think it was Crypto Heartbeat, was probably the last time we heard Funding Jim that I recall talking about billionaires. And like I say, there was at least 7 billionaires in the game so far, either full on it, like they're actually in, or they're putting their toes in, as it were. So cool. All right, so that's where the Hex price is at the moment, and what a good green candle today we've got. We've bust out of this 20-cent range, and man, we might get that fulfilled. And of course, in my previous video today, we're talking about this DMI scenario. This is what we're wanting to happen. This is the way we want to see it happen. So just check out the DMI video there. That's what we're trying to see happen here. So all these crossovers. So very, very cool. All right, let's jump over to the polls. This is the polls that we had. So we did this during the live show for the Hex price prediction, and we just got 21 votes. There was at that time. The video is about 8 minutes long, so you can check that out. So it doesn't take too long to watch. When do you think the Hex price will rally? From now, the 3rd, we had 10% of people. So that's how many we had there. And in 3 to 7 days, by the 10th of February, 14%. And in 1 to 2 weeks, by the 25th of February, which is the end of PulseX Sacrifice, 33%. And then, of course, after the 25th, mainnet signaled 43%. So the majority of people there. So the interesting thing about this, of course, that people are waiting, the time frame towards the later period rather than earlier. And possibly imagine if the market caught them all out, if all these people holding off. Maybe they're not going to buy. Maybe they're going to wait a little bit to buy, assuming that they're wanting to buy more. Then maybe they'll get caught out if the market does move earlier. Maybe the whales move it. We're certainly getting a nice little move on today with the price, as you can see on that there. So we'll have a look at the hourly. You can see the hourly is looking pretty good in the price there. Nice. Actually, we'll get a little ruler out there. We'll post it down from the bottom here and take it up to the top. And, of course, that's a 16.6% move in 2 days and 22 hours. Not too bad. And, of course, up about 16% at the moment within almost 3 days there. So nice little move up, though. And we've got a nice little green candle only a couple hours ago. So that was pretty nice. And that would have been a couple $1 million. So we saw that. Very, very cool. All right. So that was the first poll. And so it's interesting to see what people think there. And, of course, the second poll is this the one we've got on this channel at the moment. Man, oh, man, a big shout out to all of you. Look, when I took a copy of this, I had 998 votes in it. So we'll probably hit over 1,000 votes now on this. Very, very cool. It's about 10, probably maybe 30 minutes ago or something. And, of course, what the question was, will you sell your Pulse for less than 1 cent each? So this was from a community member. They suggested this poll, and I thought, it's a pretty good poll. So will you sell your Pulse for less than 1 cent each? And, of course, how much time and hands you got for this? And, of course, we got basically 1,000 votes, and we had 8% yes. So there's always going to be people selling. They're going to take their profits. And, of course, if we've got a price of 0.0003, 0.0001, at the end of this PulseX Sacrifice period, then these people are going to go, some of them may be willing to sell for 1 cent if it goes up that high. At this stage, 30% said maybe. So we've got 21% there. So it's like 1 in 5 persons have got paper hands, but they're willing to get the extra returns that they get at 1 cent. So that was pretty interesting. And of course, 80% or 80%, which is 4 in 5 people, said, which is basically 800 people out of this number. 800 people said no, they're going to hodl. They're playing for the long X's. They want the big X's returns. So I thought that was pretty fascinating on that. Let me just to get the old thing out. Let me just. So that's 100x return, isn't it? So from the top of the sacrifices. So very cool. All right. So let's jump over to PulseX and let's go through that. I thought it was pretty interesting. Let's get through some of the comments first. Alex K's in the house says, I think testnet 3 will be a final rehearsal after they have done the developing of testnet v2. I think you're right there, Alex. I think that maybe a few changes will happen, and that will actually mix it up a bit, at least make it less predictable. And, of course, the final test rehearsal will be pretty cool. And then away we go. That could be quite short, like you say, maybe 10 days or something, or 2 weeks or 10 days. Let's see. It's now says how many transactions are on ETH a day? About 1.2, 1.3 million. It's now. And Prana Perky said, in terms of DeFi stuff, there's normally, I think it's about 400,000, 500,000, something like that. Perky Nana says Aspar, and Pulse Beta says New Zealand has more possums than Australia. It does probably. You can drive at night and accidentally hit possums. What happens if they see the car lights? They stop and they just pause and they get hallucinated. My cousin and I had a cool story about that. It's probably a bit too graphic to talk about in this one. And it was when we were going to youth camp of all things. But it was hilarious. Brenton says, and sheep. Yeah, we have a lot of sheep, but we don't have a lot of sheep like we used to. We used to have something like 77 million sheep or something. I think we've probably got maybe 22 million or something like that. So we're maybe a third of the sheep. So something like that. We used to have lots, and people used to say there's more sheep than Kiwis, but of course there's lots more for sure. It's Nana says, look at that, like the ETH has a 1.1 million transactions a day. Maybe RH is expecting much more a day with most free gas. Yeah, well, we already got a comparison for that. It's now, and that is Polygon Matic. And that has about 3 to 4 million transactions per day. So let's argue that you've got a 3 to 4x in transactions, but of course the values Matic's at like $2 something, and of course the total value is only a couple $1 million a day in fees. That's why I go for the position that PulseX will be worth a lot more, a lot faster. The only offsetting factor is, of course, that Pulse has validated, so people will be staking, and of course in that first period it'll probably get quite good. Particularly higher returns relative with everybody else trading. And secondly, of course, is a month later, liquid loans will come in. Other third-party DATs will be trying to attract people's PLS. And then secondly, PulseX will have, and of course, Pulse will have pools that you can lock it up with. And of course, the only thing that PLX will have is pools. So unless the DAO incentive creates a one-sided staking with the incentive token from there. So that's kind of the way I see that playing out. But of course, we're talking about, a lot of big difference there. So interesting. It's quite interesting. So, let's say we could actually, maybe with the total transactions, that's called, you got to ramp up to that, but that can happen pretty fast. It's going to happen faster than anything. And maybe it might just outdo PulseX. Maybe it might just do that. So some interesting stuff there. Definitely worth. So maybe I'll put a spreadsheet up against that, and we'll have a look at that. So nice. Nicholas says, cheers from the NL. Hey, Nicholas, good to see you. Possible says, what's your best theory to obtain more Pulse? And Pulse HT. Oh, yeah, okay. Hex token. PLX X swap could be a very poor rate, but still could be better than on bridge opening. P Hex might be the best bet. Yes. So I don't really want to sell my P Hex. That's my bias. So I'm trying to take my bias out of it. Best theory to obtain. I would say feel free to swap a bit. I wouldn't just swap all your PLX, but if you're going to look at the swap a certain percentage of it. But once again, it's going to get pretty hardcore when it first starts. So maybe wait for it just to settle down before the bridge opens. It's probably my bet. So this probably happened pretty quickly. Just take that into account. Easy says horrible idea. Yeah, it is a horrible idea. I do not do it. Yeah, I don't think to do it either. I am against that. We kind of went through this loop yesterday on that question, and I don't feel it's probably not best to do it either. Matic says that is the swap with the ratios. Matic doesn't have all the customers built in though, right? I don't follow it. So Matic has grown to, I think they've got over 1 million followers on the official Matic Twitter, which it gives us an indicator of how many. But the thing is that they won't have the whole system stay to copy over. It's very different from that point of view. And yeah, I just think it's going to be interesting to see that. Pulsechain is going to blow them out of the water. It's really going to be quite a thing to see, is my guess. But they do offer some lessons, right? Polygon Matic does offer some lessons around how the chain gets attacked by bots and how the gas price gets a change. So it's going to be interesting to see how those operational aspects get managed on Pulsechain. New Zealand has less sheep, so playtime for the blokes drastically reduced. That's terrible. All right, so Sam says, visited Queensland's sheep station back in 1989, worked on motorbike with dog, big rain after drought. We did mudslides for distance on the red soil. Epic. Sounds like a lot of fun there, Sam. Yeah. And Levo's in the house, big strong arm. Nice. You got to have the diamond arms and the strong arms for sure. And very, very cool. Hey, SB, that's pretty cool. I'm going to post some of these. Look at this. I just added this for the Hex Token channel members. And of course, now we've got this Pulse Hex is in the emojis. Looks fantastic. Look at that. Just punches out of there. Nice. Of course, we've got the Hex and the Pulsechain in there too. And that's looking good. And of course, lots of rockets because we've got big ambitions because we're going to rock it to the moon for sure. So nice one. Francie's in the house. Hello, Francia. Good to see you. Really nice. All right, so let's get into PulseX results, folks. That's what we're here. Don't forget, I'll put a timestamp so that you can just jump to it straight away. Very, very cool. Let's refresh this. Here we go, folks. PulseX live results. $960,500,000 on the ETH chain has been sacrificed. This is pulsex.com. All the links are in the video description. Let us scroll down. We've ticked over, of course, into the next day, day 37, and of course of about 59. And the sacrifice rate will increase by 5% in 19 hours. 5%. So your rate today, remember there's two components to the PulseX sacrifice at the moment, the base rate and, of course, the volume multiplier based on your US dollar sacrifice relative to everybody else. And, of course, at the moment, the base points is 10,000 per $3.39. That started off at $1 for the first 12 days, but now is 10,000 points for $3.39. So if you had no volume multiplier, that'd be a market price of 0.000339 would be the price. So that's where your break even would be at. But of course, if you've got the volume multiplier that's based on how much your US dollar is relative to everybody else, then that would end up being a make that cost lower and lower. So that's why the volume multiplier is pretty cool. Now, so here we are on the chart here. We're slowly rising up at $3.39. We're slowly going up there, day 37. And, of course, we're just slowly creeping into this middle cost range, as I call it, as we head towards the end of the volume multiplier on the 21st. And then the final 5 days, of course, is a flat rate of 1.75. This is when we're expecting the Origin account to come in, just like it did in Pulsechain. I can't see any reason why it wouldn't, but you never know if Richard Hart, he can do a few shock and awe's, but I do think that's going to happen there as well. So it seems to be the case. All right, so cool. That is the official site. Let's go over to PulseX info. This is the site where if you want to sacrifice to pulsex.info. Just follow the instructions. But basically, most people are sacrificing to this one address, OX075, and ends in DDC8. That's DDC8. And of course, if you're on Ethereum or any Ethereum compatible chain, Binance Smart Chain, Polygon Matic, Avalanche, etc., you can just use the send function in your wallet like MetaMask. Just as you are sending crypto to a friend, you can send crypto to this address, and it will be accounted for through the hash for the transaction on the blockchains. So pretty easy to done. If you want to make it nice and easy for yours to be credited without any issues, just send it from your wallet and send any of these popular tokens, stable coins, of course, or ETH or Hex or anything like that. You can send that. Remember, about 56% of all sacrifice has been from Hex, which makes 44% from the other tokens or coins. So very cool. If you're sending to any of these other chains, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Tron, etc., just follow the rest of the steps, step 1 to 3, through the rest of this, and you can then get that sent as well. Now, I also suggest that if you want to paste your Ethereum address in there, you can do that as well, and get tagged for that. The other side, of course, is that if you're a bit nervous, just sacrifice a little bit, make sure that all went through nice, and then you can sacrifice your target amount. Is probably a good way of doing that. And that's true for just about everything you normally test out. So very cool. All right, so that's pulsex.info. If you want to do a sacrifice, let's jump over to PulseX Leads. This is our main place. This is where we're going to live. This is a third-party site, so it's not official sites, but this is a third-party DApp that shows us the actual sacrifice. And man, it looks good. 1 billion and 11 million. 1 billion and 11 million US dollars has been sacrificed. Amazing. That's on the Ethereum chain, the Binance Smart Chain, and the Polygon Matic chain. So it excludes all the rest of the chains. That is pretty outstanding for sure. So let's have a look here. So we've got the total PLX points or tokens is at 17 trillion 139 billion 578 million 56,589 at the moment. This is based on is an estimate based on the public sacrifices. This excludes the Origin account, so just take that into account. So we could end up with 180 200 trillion coins, somewhere in that ballpark up there, depending on what percentage you think that the Origin account's going to sacrifice for. But that's probably where we end up there. Very nice. Of course, this site is from, let me just get rid of, no, it works all right. So let me just get rid of Game Systems 10 is the developer of the site. So if you want to give a little donation, it is up in the top right corner there. I always like to give a shout out and credit to that person because it's a site that we're using for free. All right, so let's have a look at the wallets. We've got 127,385 wallets today. They're just slowly creeping up every day. Yesterday, of course, it was below 127,000, so just going up nicely. The other thing, of course, is that we have some key metrics. We've got 7 wallets over 10 million. Of course, we've got our well-known top wallets, Overwatch, the big whale, and of course, the Hex God whale as well as number 2. And of course, they also participated in Pulsechain Sacrifice 2, so they are key pivotal holders as well. We typically probably have other organizations like 3 Arrows and other stuff around there too. So take that into account. Let's have a look, scroll down. Of course, we're going to have a look at the Magic Carpet Ride. Now, that's a pool or a syndicate, and of course, it's based on public trust. There's a couple of guys, I believe they're in America somewhere, and of course, they run a spreadsheet and a YouTube channel and a Telegram, a group of Telegram channels where they allow you to do the sacrifice. They run it all through a spreadsheet, and of course, if you're a small player, instead of you getting a volume multiplier, which is that second component, maybe about 1.02 or 1.05. If you only do a couple $100 or a couple $1,000, you can join them. And of course, you are trusting them, but you can join them. And of course, you can get a whale size volume multiplier. And theirs is up at 2.14. So pretty amazing. We have a couple of people who watch this live show that are part of that, and sometimes the Magic Carpet Ride team are watching this as well. So number 21 is the address, and DE807, and it's $4.25 million. So pretty awesome, and they've got a volume multiplier of 2.1497 as an estimate. So pretty nice on that. Let's have a look at see if there've been any transactions on the 1st and 2nd. They have $820 on the 1st of February and $736 on the 2nd of February. Now, they've probably got a lot of people still sacrificing, especially small accounts, because they are relatively getting a high multiplier, which means that they're still getting a pretty decent, better than market sacrifice amount, if that makes sense. So cool. All right, so that's looking good. Let's go look at the top 100 wallets. We've got 1.2 million is the top 100, of course, and we're going to have a look at the number of millionaires there are. So we'll look at the top 500, scroll it down. We've got 109. Yeah, it's still 109. So this has been the case for probably 10 days or so. We've been 109 millionaires in there. Very nice. And we're going to scroll down to top 500, $202,843. That seems to have gone up slightly, I think, from memory. And of course, that is to get in the top 500. To get in the top 1,000, and this is a very key group because these guys will control well in excess of 70, maybe 75% of all the public PLX tokens in the market. So you have to have over $102,515 to join this 1,000. Of course, it's pretty arbitrary, really, but they will control that amount. So pretty interesting. But as I say, it's not a big deal. These guys will be buying and selling amongst each other. Plus, when the bridge opens a day or two after Pulsechain, and potentially hundreds of thousands up to low millions of people over a certain time frame, maybe 6 to 12 months, start coming in, maybe 18 months, start coming in right up to the top of adoption. It'll be the fastest way to adoption. And of course, everyone will be wanting to buy a lot of these tokens that all these people hold. So there's another form of massive buying and mass adoption there. And man, it's going to blow our minds. I really do think it's going to blow our minds how that works. So I hope that Pulsechain launches within our March at the latest April timeframe. They'll be very bullish, folks, for Pulsechain. Very bullish. While we're still up at this level of the market, while Bitcoin is still up here, this is only more bullish. So even though it will perform extremely well, even in a more bearish market, I think at this level, this would be, perfectly good, or higher. This level higher would just give you that much more oomph, that much more, X's and stuff like that. So that's the way I go with that one. All right, let's have a look here. Obviously, X's are based on lower price, but you get my point. A lot more higher valuations is the way I'm really trying to argue there. All right, so that's pretty cool on the top one. And we're going to jump over to the tokens, of course. $554.9 million in Hex Sacrifice, almost 555. So this is probably going to hit 5555 in the next probably couple of hours. Who knows? Maybe next half a day. I don't know. It's going to happen. We'll get 555 there. And of course, we've got 170 million Hex off. 2,170 million Hex off the market. Now, that's $554 million of buying power. You would never get that much Hex with that if you think about it, like on the market, because the price goes up, it squares the value. And of course, this is going to be off on the market on a ETH chain and Pulsechain. I love saying that every day because it is so profound. And we estimate that maybe that's around about 7.5% of the circulating supply. And in the public, we're talking about the public circulating supply, not of the total circulating supply, including the original accounts, which we consider inactive liquid Hex. So pretty cool there. And that is amazing, folks. I'm so excited. Every time I look at that number, I'm just like, oh, that's so cool. And this doesn't include Pulsechain and Sacrifice. And so, wow, that is a beautiful thing. In fact, I've got to do some numbers around that. I'm going to try and start pulling up some more spreadsheets and getting some more numbers up for you guys so that we start building that out. All right, so ETH is at $236.9 million US dollars, and stablecoins 107.8 on USDC, USDT 47.1. And BUSD at $17 million. So it's hit that mark. Very cool. Those are the top 5. BNB 14.7 million US dollars on BNB. DAI 6 million. Matic at let me just toggle that over. It's a little sensitive. Let me go. You can do it. Yeah, almost just over 4.9 million on the Matic. AVAX at almost 3.5 million. Wrap Bitcoin at $3.4 million. That's our top 10, folks. Very cool. Now I like to pull out some of the themes out of here as well. And of course, we've got one of the big themes, and this is probably the biggest one. We have a massive war chest, and of course, obviously, you're not supposed to expect anything from the work of others, but implicitly, we have a massive war chest. And of course, it is US dollar stables, including Pulsechain, is over $600 million, which is amazing. What could it be used for? Liquidity, marketing, who knows? We don't know. We have no expectation of the work of others. Whatever the sacrifice dress does it with it, good luck to it. But it's going to be pretty amazing to see how that supports the system. Could it support a parabolic price rise in addition to the buy and burn? Can you see that? You can take the US dollar war chest and the buy and burn features. Oh my gosh! Mind blown. There we are. Sing along with me with that song, man. Mind blown. Double on the 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 triple on the triple on the triple on the quadruple. It just goes on and on. I'm losing my mind, but you get my point. It's going to be pretty epic on that. So the other thing, of course, is that some of the other things we have all the dexes. We know that we're going to have the biggest yield farming in history, crypto history, and we've got obviously Uni Token, Cake, Sushi Swap, Quick, and all that stuff has been sacrificed. Those yield farmers, the mercenary yield farmers, they're often called. They go jump to the next blockchain, the next DEX that has the best yield. They're going to come like you wouldn't believe, like more than any other DEXs. We're talking hundreds of thousands of yield farm chasers. Man, oh man, it's going to be fun to see them come over that bridge. Come over. You're welcome. You're welcome. And of course, we don't care. We wish the best for them. We want them to make the most money. But of course, every time they do a trade on every single other token, it's going to be buy and burn. And of course, on Pulse, it's going to be the 0.25% fee. And of course, on the which is automatic. And then on the PulseX, it's going to be a magical buy and burn. We don't know exactly how that's going to operate, but I can only imagine it's going to be pretty good. And of course, that means every transaction on every other peer, every other project, we could have 6,000 plus peers, in my opinion, on trading on this. And that's possibly just a starter. We could end up with a lot more, maybe 10,000. I don't know. It's going to be a big number of trading peers. And of course, people can trade, bam, 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 and that's going to go. A lot of those tokens will get sold down with the fee. And of course, where's it going to flow through to? The big five, the five, or at least the big four is confident about big four. It's going to be pretty cool. But you never know. It could be the five, but definitely we can count on the four, I think. PulseX, Hex, and maybe even some Hex on ETH. Who knows? We'll see how that plays. Probably will be Hex on Pulsechain, but you get my point. Maybe that's another pump and metal for the Hex on Pulsechain there. And maybe that's one that Hex on ETH won't enjoy. We don't know. We're going to find out. It's going to be interesting to see that play. All right, so that's cool. And of course, that's probably the main stuff there. Let's have a look at separate chains out. Of course, the top four there are Ethereum, and then the next three are Binance Smart Chain, and then followed by we've got Polygon there. Polygon there with what's the Polygon Pink? We've got Pink, USD, and Matic. Hey, I didn't even pick this up because I just looked at this live at like you have. We've got AVAX now included, and in fact, I didn't even when I refreshed, I didn't even see that. We've got AVAX sitting there at number 10 now, so that's brand new, folks. And of course, then we've got their stable coins down here, USDC, T, and DAI breaking out. That's pretty funny. I didn't actually read the notice because it's always just been those three. But let's have a look here. Oh, it's not even written on here, but they've actually broken that out now with the breakdown on the chain there. So that's pretty hilarious to see that. So that's a new feature that we've just got today. They've actually broken out the AVAX, even though it was there before. They've actually red colored that. So that's nice. Very cool. A big shout out to the dev, of course, for doing that. So that's Game System 10. Big shout out. Let's go over to the daily stats, folks. Let's see the results for day 36. We're going to hit there. Once again, I say it's actually 55% now that is Hex. People have sacrificed for Hex. So really 45% is everything else. Pretty fascinating. And of course, here's day 36. 1,280,000 US dollars sacrificed on these chains. Very cool. What was yesterday? 1.8, and the day before 1.1. So actually not a bad day in the office. 1.28 there. And of course, that's day 36. That would have left us with a total, of course, for day 36. We're at $1,010,969. And of course, now we have on day 37, and that's 132,900 at the moment. And we're currently 4 hours. Wait a minute. Yeah, 5 hours and 14 minutes through. So we've still got 19 hours or so to go. And of course, the current total is 1,011,102,000. Looking good. That's the results, folks, live, and the results for day 36. Hope you guys enjoyed that. It was pretty cool. Before we jump on to the next section, which is just the final bit on PulseX rates, let's get into the chat there. I'm probably miles behind now. You know how I roll on this. Let me get in here. I'm going to try not to read people's comments, but let's get into it. Possum Born, our race car driver. Yeah, Possum Born. is famous New Zealand race driver, V8s, a bit like, I guess it's the same kind of car that they run at race at the Daytona 500. Simple Believer says, I was hoping Hex stay low so I can load up. Yeah, so Hex, what is Hex at the moment? Hex is rallying, and we're at the 19.3 cents. We actually hit 19.4 cents too, just only an hour ago. So looking good there. We might break that 20 cents, and we've still got a little bit to go. 0.6%, 6 cents, I should say. Looking good. As far as in the house, and man, oh man, let's jump over the top here. Let's have a look at the Aspire. Let me jump over there. Fires in the house. I love it. Using the emojis, very cool. EZ says, woohoo! I love it. And Brazology says, nice. And Pulse Debate says, how long till launch, you reckon? Like we said, we've got the timetable here. Where did I have that on Pulsechain? We've got the launch. The earliest I have the launch at the moment is mid-March. So I've moved it from the 5th of March. I'm not so sure about that date. That is the earliest. It's early March, maybe the 5th, but I've moved it into the mid of March now. So it's probably the earliest. That's the way language we like to use at the stage. So unless Richard gives us a really strong update in the next live stream, that's probably it for the moment. And it's April, maybe, in my opinion, it's SF. Yeah, so April, it may be April too. So, but earliest in my case is probably mid-March at this stage. Although earliest is early March, but I think mid-March is probably the earliest at the stage. Gene says everything looks good for the moment. Let's hope it lasts. Yeah, everything's looking really good. And I think that's probably where we're at this stage. So Simple Believer says, do you think the OA will sack Hex? Yes, I do. It's got plenty of Hex to sacrifice, so it will easily do that. I'm going to bring up the spreadsheet for the OA. I will do that. That's going to be pretty cool. We will flesh out the OA and strategy. In fact, I'm going to make that a key topic for tomorrow, Maria. That's sorry, Simple Believer. That's a good idea. And welcome to the chat, by the way. Another Hex token member. Maria says, hello, everyone. Happy to see the sacrifice numbers increasing. Me too. And they look really cool now. It's looking really good. Sam says, just tried the PLS faucet. Nice. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Now, if you want to use the PLS faucet, I've got a couple of videos on that here on this channel. I think it might be under Pulsechain folder, but you can just search on this channel for Let's Play Pulsechain Testnet 2. We go through all the stuff on Pulsechain Testnet at the moment that we as publicly available. Cryptotonic says, Cura, Hex skins, Pulse skins, woohoo! Hey, Cura to you too. And big shout out. And it now says, did you use your wrench to turn it on? No. Sophia says that no, Australia has more sheep than New Zealand. Probably does now, Sophia. I think you're right, but it didn't used to. But I think you're probably right now because they have dramatically reduced the number of sheep in New Zealand. Brazil says America has more sheep than the rest of the world combined lately, it seems. And I'm not talking about the fuzzy animals. Yeah, that's probably true too, Brazology. Well said on that one. And Craig Wadding says, woohoo! Was it Mr. A says, what people don't realize is that other chains were empty. Pulse is the only fully loaded system. State for big difference and scary bullish. Mr. A, that's a fantastic observation. And let's just think about that for a second. That is super bullish. And that's what I keep saying. It is on a scale. These other ones pretty much launched mostly empty and, of course, have to ramp up. And so if they can be that successful, then, of course, we're going to blow that out of the water. It's going to be mind-blowing for sure. So we're talking about 1.2 million transactions, talking about 4 million transactions, but we could do 10 million transactions, 20 million transactions, because all the applications that weren't usable on Ethereum could be usable on Pulsechain. So really, is the numbers could be quite mind blowing, and that could very quickly reverse the case on Pulsechain, on Pulse being not just more valuable from a perspective, perspective that the chains are more valuable than the DEXs, but from the point of view that the fees may actually generate more potential. So it's interesting over time. So worth doing some maths on that. Have to be a lot of transactions, and the value in Pulse would have to be certainly high for that to be the case. But at a 0.25% fee, interesting scenario there. You could screw it. I might actually play around those numbers. Sounds good to me. Sophia says good call. Brazology, and what else we got here? Brazology says, lol, I haven't kept up to date with the honkering. I've been too busy studying the hexing. Nice one, Brazology. Hey, Craig Wedding, woohoo! We got some milk money. Hey, milk money, yeah. So nice one there, milk money. Woohoo! Appreciate it, Superman. Appreciate that, Craig Wedding, sorry, and big shout out to you. Very, very cool. We have to see you on Hex's The Way channel again sometimes there soon, Craig. Very cool. And a big shout out to Hex is the Way channel. Really doing great outreach, education, and also with the Asian community. Big shout out to him. I think particularly South Korean, I think he's focusing on. So big shout out. And SF says, Brazology, woohoo. Yeah, woohoo. We're going crazy with the woohoos. Oh, nice. Matt and Barley says, watch the video again last night of the guys who went to England to interview Richard Hart. They mentioned that Richard Hart will also get a copy of everything sacrificed on ETHchain. Oh, yeah, it's probably true. Alex Gay says, oh, that was singing was epic. And War Chest and Buy and Burn, mind blown. Yeah, it is. I'm just catching up to my comments earlier, but yeah. Let me jump through here. I'm going to jump through some of these. Brazil says, I wonder what the sentiment would be if Richard had only gotten 8 to 10 million instead of a whole billion. It wouldn't be like this, Brazil. It wouldn't be like this, that's for sure. Any updates on the AMM bot? Well, that's what we're saying. We're saying that the Pulsechain, the testnet is up to 30. Let's refresh this. Up to 35.6 million. So what's causing these numbers going up? I'm not sure. Is that a UI bug or is actually represents transactions going through some of these blocks? That's the question. So just seems a bit unusual. May just be a UI block issue, or it could be something real. So it's a little bit strange. And could that feasibly be an AMM bot run? It's hard to tell. I would have thought that all happened at once, you see. So it's a little confusing. I don't want to speculate too much, but it is interesting. Smash the likes is easy. Absolutely. And what else we got going here? YouTube user says zoom in so we can read that graph on YouTube mobile. Which chart? There's a lot of charts. I'm not sure which one. Just let me know which one you're talking about, YouTube user. I've forgotten which one I was looking at the time. Milk money, says Brendan. Milk money, yes. Now, I actually watched some guy in America I was watching these videos where people give money to people on the street, living over the street. And of course, this guy said, oh, what can I get you? And he says, oh, can you get me a sleeping bag? And I think it was some chocolate milk. And the guy got them this chocolate milk because in America, everything's so much bigger, right? So the chocolate milk was this ginormous, like, I don't know, it looked like 4 liters or 5 liters of milk. It was just ginormous. So that was interesting. Check the GitHub settings. Check the GitHub settings. Yeah, I don't know if I've got the GitHub on there. If I have loaded that up, let me have a look here. I'm not sure if I've got the GitHub on this setting, but let me. You have to type that in. I might just leave that for this moment. Let me just jump away for that. Yeah, there's been a lot of updates on that. GitHub now. Yeah, I've got that on the wrong. I'm on the wrong computer to actually get the link. Yeah, I don't think that gives me the link. Yeah, it doesn't. GitHub, that is. Yep. And Pulsechain testnet. Brennan says, how close to the sack period do you think the whales will take their foot off the neck of Hex and let it run? Well, it is running a little bit today. You know, it's starting to make an attack. Really needs to break this 20 cents, and I think we're going to see that soon. To be honest, I think that's going to happen. And of course, we had these polls, and of course, let me just. We had this poll today, and of course, people felt that it was going to be towards the end of these time frames. So after the 25th was 43%, 1 or 2 weeks was 33%. So I think that's probably as good as estimate as anything. Gives you 21 people had posted their views, so it's probably the best estimate there. I myself think that it's starting to happen already. So I'm kind of in this camp here. This is the second one by the 10th of February, and we've seen actually a pretty decent rise today. So hopefully that helps with that. Brendan, it's the graph with all the text on it, dark background. All the text on it, dark background. Now I've got to remember which one it is because I still don't know which one. Yes. I think I know the one talking about this one here. So yeah, I'm not sure if we can actually can I do that? Yeah, up here. Let's see if that works. Let's go 200. So we've got 200 here. So there we are. That's the chart I'm talking about. So I was talking about the Pulsechain testnet 2 running 53 days so far. The PulseX there running as well. So yeah, then we've got all the MVP that's going super well, and of course we're waiting for this AMM bot to run, but we're expecting that Pulsechain testnet 3. So we're trying to infer some stuff here. That's probably the way I'd put it at the moment. So cool. I don't know what happened there. I've completely lost that one. Let me go to zoom in. There we go. So that's good enough there. We'll just leave that there before I even completely mess that up. All right, so yeah is in the house. You should interview one of the devs. Would be pretty cool. Yeah, it'd be pretty cool to see that. Maybe that's something I could do. I might look at that one. That's a good idea. Bring on sudden wealth syndrome. I'd like to experience it once in my lifetime. Hey, just be patient and stay. Well, I'm sure we'll be fine, Hungarian. Get a rather more deeper insight into the project. Yeah, there's only one video so far that I've seen of a dev, and the recording was terrible for that. But we have talked about that in the past there. Yeah, that was a little while ago, but it's definitely try and get hold of them. They would be under quite a bit of hush-hush, I would believe, by Richard. So I'm not sure how much they actually be saying at this stage as we get closer to the expected launch. So it may not. Molly says testnet 3 is not even out yet, so Pulsechain probably won't release until earliest mid-March. You think? Yeah, I'm with you on that, Molly. That's where I'm on that timeline with you with that. Hex Token Pump, let's go. Yeah, this is once again, so often, many times, we have a green candle during this live show. So pretty cool. I'm not saying it's necessarily this channel, but spread the word that it is. It's kind of cool. It'd be helpful as we go. All right. It's being a bit cheeky there, but hey, let's see where we are on the subscribers. We're trying to head towards 3,000. We're trying to move from a little channel in the Pulsechain Hex space to a medium-sized channel. And, of course, we need another 62 subscribers to do that. We're at 2,938. Actually lost one subscriber during the live stream, so I apologize to that lost subscriber. But we need another 62. So don't forget to spread the word, folks. Really will help there as we head up to 3,000. Very, very cool. All right, so where is that on the chat there? It's now, yeah, 19 cents. Pretty cool. Brazil says you might be able to zoom in and out if you hold the control key and use your mouse wheel. Yeah, I'm using the new the Apple pad, and I'm not completely familiar with it. I'm used to using a big PC pad, so I'm I could use the command function. I think it's the close one. Yeah, different for the Mac. Yeah, Yahya says I can set it up if you like. I know Victor. I can ask if he's interested. Hey, yeah, that'd be cool if you've got Victor's name. Let us know. But isn't Victor one of the website developers and not the blockchain ones? Let me know. I think that's the case. I think Victor's one of those. It works backwards down here, Brazilji. Yeah, that's right. It does work backwards. Nice. All right, cheers, everybody. Man, it's going to be super FOMO. War chest, buy and burn. Sit back and relax. We've got to need more patience. That's the thing. More patience. Sit back. Brazil says lol. And Greg says lost sub looking for marbles. That's funny, Greg. That's funny. All right, so let's get on. I think we're up to the PulseX rates. So let's get up to this. And this is our next section. I probably should have talked about this immediately. We're going to go all the way down to the day. Of course, day 37 is what we're on. And, of course, we've got a rate of $3.39 for 10,000 points. And $1 now will get you 2,953 points, unless, of course, you're the Magic Carpet Ride pool. And, of course, they are still sitting up at 2.14, which is somewhere along there. We'll just take this column here, column W. We'll scroll down to column W and go to 39. Let's go over there. Let's scroll over there to column W. So they're getting, they're probably getting about 6,300 points now per dollar. So if you're a small player and you're in the Magic Cup Ride, you'll be doing quite a bit better, just over twice as good, obviously 2.14 compared to what people would be doing by themselves if they're just doing a small sacrifice, 3,000. Obviously, if you're doing a couple $1,000, maybe 3,000 bucks, then you're going to get slightly higher there, 3,200 points there. So cool. Now we're going to go all the way, of course, down to day 54. This is the end of that second component, that volume multiplier based on the US dollar sacrifice, and that will be $7.76 for the 10,000 points, the first component, and then of course the volume multiplier will be over. The last 5 days will be the flat bonus of 1.75. So for people that are sacrificing low amounts, hundreds and stuff like that, which is still, can still do amazing if you get the big, if you stay long enough and get big X's, but you're better off to sacrifice on day 55 if you haven't sacrificed, because these rates will be worse than this one here, 2,145, depending on your volume multiplier, of course, depending on where you are in the volume multiplier, as you can see. So just anything in this sort of area would be worse off. So cool, just compared to that day. And then that's the end. So we've got 21 days, I think it is, till the end there. Let me just double check down here. So we'll just count those. So we've got to count 22. Yeah, so 22 days. So cool. All right, let us jump over to Pulsechain slides. Bam. All right, so this is my a representation of the ecosystem. I just like this because if you're not too familiar with the blockchain and stuff like this, kind of represents what's being made. Richard is building out this awesome DeFi. This of course in the yellow, this over here of course is a third party part, of course, and this is what's going to happen. So Ethereum at the moment, it's got the Ethereum blockchain, it's got Uniswap version 2, and actually has version 3 as well, but that is licensed until 2023. So you can't get access to that at the moment. It's version 2, and the big difference with version 3 is it allows you to do one side of the liquidity pool, and of course we see that on Uniswap at the moment for Hex. There's all this bid side on the bid side that's stacked all the way up millions of dollars. So there's a lot of buy support on the version 3, meaning that it's far more likely the price will go up from here. And not to our surprise, of course, we are getting that price support there in the bids, and the price is going up. So we'll see if we crack that 20-cent mark. That's for sure. So that's going on. The other side, of course, is the Uni token represents that over there, and then you've got Uniswap token, and then of course you've got the actual a coin, which is Ethereum, that's used for the gas fees on Ethereum. And of course then you have all the projects. You got ERC20s, you have other tokens as well, or for the NFTs and other smart contracts on there. And of course you have Hex as well, which is ERC20. So pretty cool, and we call it Hex or Hex on Ethereum. And that's the way it's growing at the moment. So that's Vitalik's system. So Vitalik is the young genius that made that up. Of course, he looks less of a genius these days with the high gas fees and with the muddling around the roadmap. But hey, and the delay in ETH 2.0. But besides all that, he's the young genius that made all this, and credit to him, right? You got to credit where credit's due, pretty much on that. And of course, he likes to spend his summer. I don't know. He's got some funny. If you've ever seen his dance video, it is classic. Check out Vitalik's dance video. I think they went to some, all these blockchain festivals. They do all end up doing silly things. What stays in Vegas, as it were, stays in Vegas or something. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. All right, so cool. So what Richard is doing is the first system state copy of Ethereum. That means there have been other uses of Ethereum, but they've pretty much been launched empty, whereas Richard's going to launch them all the projects over here, all the contracts over here. Now, I'm not exactly sure. There are so many smart contracts on Ethereum, what that will look like over here, because there are so many contracts on Ethereum. It's going to be crazy, folks. This is going to be interesting to see. Of course, we're going to get all ERC20s are going to be airdrops. If you're holding these ERC20s, when the actual mainnet block happens, so we'll decide a fork of the block they're going to have. We're waiting for that. It's going to be one of the fundamentals in my view. If we get that gets known, and that was going to get copied over there. So if you're holding Uni token over here, you're going to get Uni token dropped over here for sure. So nice. For every ETH that you hold, you get dropped a PLS token as well. Now, the other thing, of course, is this. So you'll be able to do some transactions. The PRC20 is going to be the biggest airdrop in history. And, of course, the PulseX is going to be there. And also an incentive token for yield farmers. So PulseX, of course, is going to harvest the Uniswap, pull all the dexes, I should say. And, of course, it's going to pull all the dexes, going to harvest. It's going to make this big, take all the yield farming value from all those, and then have them all lined up and make them this giant pool, the biggest pool of in crypto history. And of course, it's going to harvest those tokens, and that means it's going to swap over Pulse, and the ratios will be adjusted there. And of course, it's going to make money out of nothing. Basically, it's going to be ginormous. That's going to be in a closed system to start off with for a day or two, and so that's going to be huge. And of course, and then of course, Pulsechain will be there too. So Pulsechain is going to be a copy of Ethereum. So that's like the network or the platform. The blockchain, and of course then Uniswap version 2 is going to be copied over. PulseX, of course, is going to be there, and that with the incentive token. So it's been pretty amazing from that point of view. Then on top of that, Hex is going to get copied over. So if you've got Hex liquid or staked on Ethereum, you're going to get that copied over. That's going to be really cool, and that's a great way of seeing it. So this is a closed system, but this is basically the first time this has ever happened. The biggest system state copy, or the first system state copy, the biggest airdrop in history with the PRC20s. And of course, the biggest yield farming with the PLX and the incentive token. It's going to be pretty mad over there, folks. And of course, superior tokenomics. This is a inflationary over here. This is going to be deflationary over here, meaning that through the sacrifices, Pulsechain and PulseX, the total amount of tokens are going to be known. And of course, there's going to be buy and burns, and they're going to just slowly get decreased over time. So it's going to be super pumpamental from that. And it's got all the best tokenomics, really. So it's going to be pretty cool. And of course, if you've got PRC20s, what happens then is when the bridge opens up, This will be closed for a day or two. People will be able to trade the ratios between PLX and PLS and other tokens over there. And then, of course, then the bridge will open up, and then it will become from a closed system to an open system. And the bridge there will allow hundreds of thousands of yield farmers over, and of course, up to a couple million users on Ethereum that are existing there at the moment to come over as well. And you can see that it will be the fastest road to mass adoption via this, because people will want to get their free PRC20s. They're also going to want to get into the yield farming. It's going to be crazy, crazy good. And of course, this will be the first time that they can actually pair their free PRC20s with the ERC20s. They can bridge those over and bond those in pools. eHex and Hex will be bonded in pools. And so it's going to be fascinating. And remember, Pulse is going to be used for the fee over in Ethereum. It is Ethereum ETH that's used for the fees, but over here it's going to be PLS for Pulse and on the Pulse chain. So that's what's going to be used for fees. So you need Pulse to do that. So very cool. Now, that's pretty much that. And of course, when the bridge opens, it's going to be just all heck breaks loose. That basically everybody that sacrificed the Pulsechain and PulseX are early adopters, and they'll be buying and selling much themselves. But when the bridge opens, they'll be swamped. They'll be outnumbered, possibly 10 to 1, 20 to 1, 30 to 1 by all the people coming in over the bridge. So that's going to be pretty amazing. If we've got 100,000 users, that's a million users come in, that's a 10 to 1, etc. 2 million users come in, that's a 20 to 1. You can see how that plays. And of course, there's a lot of big wealth sitting on the Ethereum chain, being number 2. And if we go to Nomics, we can see the Ethereum chain is currently worth 318 billion. So there's a lot of wealthy individuals there. Obviously, with Pulsechain testnet, we already know on the leaderboard that we have at least 1 or 2 of the Genesis holder whales in the house. Number 2, definitely. So there's a couple of Genesis wallet holders from Ethereum over there too. They see the vision, they understand what's going on here, and they are FOMOing their own selves they're putting up a lot of venture capital, risk capital, because they see the big vision. So pretty exciting. Now, we already looked at Overwatch. Of course, Overwatch was price predictions were epic for Pulsechain and Pulse. So do check that out on the previous videos. Pretty nice on that. So cool. Let me have a look here. So yeah, the other thing, of course, is where the fiat gateway will open. Once that opens, of course, this will be a self-fulfilling system. This will be be able to operate by itself, its own financial system, because you have a fiat on-ramp. We're expecting that with the credit card. And of course, we'll have the bridge to other networks. And of course, this is just a start. Then we're going to have cross-chain bridges. We're going to have lots of other stuff added onto this. Third-party solutions for bridges will be there. Third-party dApps. A lot of projects that can't work on Ethereum will resurrect over here. And that particularly includes some of the bigger stuff. Metaverses, NFTs will thrive as well. And the superiority compared to this and say Polygon Matic is that you will own your coins. You will own the keys and own your coins. And that is a huge game changer as well, because people have to take a lot more risk on crossing over bridges. They have to take a lot more risk on not owning the layer 1 token. And so there's a lot of risk there from potential rug pulls or contract hacks or any sorts of stuff. It just ratchets up those risks. So with this is going to bring the security risk right down. And of course, people are going to have the security risk comes down, the value opportunities just rocket up. And it's pretty exciting. And of course, if you're here early, pump your bags, get ready. It's dance time for sure. Let me just jump over to some stuff. I just want to pull up some of the ROIs, of course, for the PulseX potential. Now, there's been nothing like this. So when we're comparing it to other projects, we've got nothing that's really comparable to about what we're about to see, because we're not just launching one little dApp. As I always say, we're launching everything at once. It's just completely mind-blowing. The crypto market has not seen this. This is just insane. And not just that, we're launching the second most valuable blockchain with its full system state. This is just mind-blowing. The news media, all those stuff, CNBC, they don't even have a clue that this is going on. I mean, I myself and others have contacted them, but it's got to go through their desk, their news desk, and actually get somewhere. And people then have got to understand it. They've got to understand it. And of course, they don't. If you watch these things, they really have their knowledge of crypto is actually quite low. And of course, they're just following the top ones, like they're just doing like the top stocks. They're just going Tesla or Apple, right? It's a bit like that, Bitcoin or Ethereum. That's as far as they get. They don't really get much further down the food chain and find, many of the other great projects. So you see that a lot in the commentary. That's why you kind of laugh. Once you get a bit used to the crypto and you start doing all these things, then you become the expert, right? You're not sitting there mucking around saying silly things. So there we are. So that's what's happening there. And of course, I think that obviously Hex provides savings, PLX, Uniswap exchange, and the incentives, and Pulsechain, the network. And of course, I think that liquid loans fits in perfectly well to this financial system and the ultimate DeFi. So that's why I got liquid loans here as lending, and that's lending against your own asset. That's basically putting PLS is probably the easiest option there. There's a couple of strategies you can do, but collateralizing your PLS, and there's probably the easiest one you can do. And with 1,000% collateral, and that works pretty well. You're actually borrowing against your own asset, and of course you just got to take modest risk on it. Pretty cool. So that brings us up to liquid loans, and of course this is the breakdown. If you were to get your PLS and you put it in the vault, you can then take out USDL, and if you're going to do a 10% lend, which seems pretty reasonable, then that would be 1,000% collateral. If you're doing 90%, that'd be like 110%. And so that's quite risky. So you don't want to do that. And I definitely wouldn't suggest you even get anywhere near that. But that's the case. And of course, you can just keep USDL. So even if PLS goes down in value, you could take your USDL and buy more PLS and put it into the pool. So you can hold on to that. Or if you did it straight away, then you take on the price risk, and that's when your collateralization might fall. So just take that into account. But if you're still sitting on USDL, it will be redeemable for $1 as well. So you can actually put that back in the vault. You can put USDL in the stability pool. You can earn PLS and loan token. So it is a dual token system on here, including this USDL is a decentralized algorithmic token, but it is a $1, and it's backed by the very PLS that's put into the vault. So it does have asset backing. The stability pool, of course, you can earn more PLS, just recycle that around. You can put it into the loan token, earn loan token. You can spend that or put it into loan staking. So you can take the safe route. If you're going to spend it, of course, you're taking on more speculative aspects. If you keep it in the stability pool and the loan staking, then you're just taking a more conservative aspect in the sense that other people are taking the risk and you may get the benefit. In other words, the fees that people use to borrow, or the liquidations for the people that take on incredible amounts of risk and get caught out, then you will end up benefiting from that. And of course, you get USDL, you can just recycle all that stuff back into the system. So there's a couple of strategies there. The other one, of course, is that you don't even have to participate in any of this. You could just buy USDL and loan token off the market and then put it into the system. So you don't actually put any PLS in here whatsoever. So cool. This probably won't start till at least a month after Pulsechain launches. And of course, it will have to have additional audits in terms of the changes that they've made to the original ETH contracts, which were used by Liquidity, which is currently running on the ETH chain. Of course, that has struggled to perform because of the ETH fees, just like many of the other projects on Ethereum, which once again is the principal use case for Pulsechain, because it's going to be super fast and super cheap, at least for several years. So it should be the case. So nice. The other thing, of course, is that this is going to have a referral system, which is pretty cool, which means you can get 5% of the sacrifice amount that someone, if they use your referral code, you get 5% of their sacrifice amount. They also get 5%. So that's pretty cool. And if you get 10 people or more that are sacrificing, then you get 10% of your own sacrifice amount. So it's a pretty nicely balanced win-win sort of referral system. The other side of it, of course, is that all people have to sacrifice at least $500 worth to qualify for that referral bonus. Pretty cool. Now, I've got my link in the video description. I am promoting this because I think it works pretty well with the ecosystem. As I say here, I think it is kind of the lending and the savings is the opposite with the Hex, and they kind of work together very well. So that's kind of the way. There is a couple of strategies that people are using on this. There's the hot pool strategy, the haunted strategy, and quite a few others out there. So it's well worth looking around at those and doing your investment due diligence. Obviously, nothing on here is investment advice, but I think this is pretty cool. Now, if you get the link, you'll get to the referral program. You just have to click I understand. And of course, you can scroll down through all the details as well. And then you can just set up your own link, of course, add your MetaMask wallet in here. It'll give you a disguised referral link, won't have your wallet in it. And you can just share that around. Once again, you'll get 5% of what the people sacrifice, and they'll get 5% also. It's a win-win. And of course, if you get over 10 people that do that and have sacrificed $500 or more to qualify for the referral, then you'll also get 10% of your own sacrifice. So it's pretty cool for that. They're also going to have for the sacrifice. We're not sure when it's come up yet. I did check Telegram, Discord, Twitter today. That's not actually out yet, but it is supposed to be soon for the sacrifice. And of course, if you want to find out those details, just click at the bottom to read more about the sacrifice. Click here, and this will take you to the sacrifice page. Actually, it's supposed to click on there. I'm not sure why that's not Why is that not clicking on there? Let me just go back to these, how this worked then. Maybe it's on this page. I'm not sure why that link's not working. That's weird. So let me have a look. Try that one more time. Is it going to work? All right. So no, that's not working. I'm not even sure why that's not even taking me to the right page. So that's a bit of a weird thing. That's the first time it's ever happened. So unusual. All right. Well, we'll just ignore that part. But there is a link there. It may work for you. It's not working for me for some reason at this time. But you can definitely check that out if your site is working. Not sure that's the first time that's ever done that. That's weird. All right, so cool. All right, so I think that's looking pretty good. Hey, we're up to hour and 15 minutes. Let's get into some of the chat here, and we're going to go over to the Hex price, and then we're going to do a refresh of the PulseX Sacrifice, see the live results. But we're looking pretty good on the price there, over 19. Can we break 20 cents? That's probably the big question there for sure. Brazil says, I just feel in my bones all the SAC money coming in after the initial first 10 days has to push the launch price high. It has to. Says Brazil. Yeah, it does, but we all know that prices can do some pretty crazy stuff. As I was going to say, I just want to finish one comment for you on PulseX, was that some of the returns that we've had in the past, Uniswap did 133x from the initial offering to the all-time high. From launch, it did 8x. Now, this doesn't have the latest prices in it, but it's kind of a good indicator. Uniswap did a 6x from the initial offering, and based on the prices I've got here, and of course the 2x from the launch to the current price. PancakeSwap did 141x, and that was from the initial offering, and that was 31 cents to $44 at the time of the current when I updated that. So, and then the current price was a 35x. So I'm not sure what that is at today, but that's what it was doing. Then Serum did 122x. Solana, which has been under some issues at the moment, of course, with the hack, through a bridge hack on the Solana network, that did 497x, 333x, so pretty huge. Now, obviously, with the chains, of course, Ethereum did from the initial offering of 30 cents, did 16,158x to the all-time high, and from the launch, it did 1,400x. Binance Smart Chain did from the launch price of 11 cents did 6,300x. So hold on to your Pulse and your PulseX. That's the rule. That's the lesson to be learned there. Pretty cool. And Trader Joe's, what else has done pretty well there? Yeah, so those are probably the better results. And this, once again, just you got to hold on for your bags for those results. Pretty much is the way I would say. Yeah, says he is, but I'm sure he could get one of the block devs on. I'll look into it. Yeah, hey, yeah, definitely check that out. I am very open to that. I was just asking the questions, really. Obviously says percentage. Yeah, which let's look at. YouTube use says, cheers, my friend. Love your dedication. I appreciate that. And Vitalik's dance video was super cringe. It was hard to watch. Says Brazilji. Yeah, Vitalik's video is pretty funny. He's a funny guy. You got to give him credit, right? I always like people that take risks, even if they look funny doing it. That is pretty funny. Yeah, if cyborgs are real, he definitely is. What else we got here? Brazilji says, I think Vitalik should start dressing like an adult. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, says he's got so much money, he doesn't care, right? You can dress wherever he wants. That's what happens when you got so much money. You can just virtually do what you want. And people, I don't know if you guys have seen the Island Boys. The Island Boys, those crazy guys. Man, oh man, there's some people do some funny stuff out there for attention. Yeah, says, I don't believe in aliens, but come on, dude. This dude. Anyway, so let's jump at. I better not talk too many about this stuff. Let's jump on to here. Sam says, living in your own bank and able to get zero interest loan is amazing. Absolutely is amazing. That's the thing with liquid loans. You're borrowing against your own asset, and of course, it's at 0%. So it's pretty amazing from the landing point. That's why you can see why it fits so well in the ecosystem from my point of view. CJ says good vibes, absolutely. And True Blue's in the house. Hey, True Blue, good to see you. Good morning. And it's great always whenever you're in the chat there, True Blue. Roland 92 says, with the loans, do you have to return the original amount of USDL, or do you pay the current price of PLS? So no, USDL is recoverable for $1. So if the PLS goes up and down, the value is just have a responding dollar you can pay off. So if you've still got USDL, you'll be fine. Otherwise, you'd have to get some funds to. It depends on how much risk you're taking on, right? I mean, or how much the chance. If there is a 90% pullback, then you probably got days to be able to pay to cover that collateral, right? That's the way to look at. I would say, but 1,000% is only a 10% loan, right? So yeah, that's a pretty low risk factor. And Azeroth says, yo, those staking pools will be on fire. I think so too. So it's going to be 33 validators, remember, on a Pulse chain. There's going to be 33 validators here. We've seen that there's 27 last time I checked on the testnet. So that's this testnet here. So 33 on there so far. What else we got going here? So Refine says, Tom Gillespie said, Richard Hart is not a technologist. RH is technology in the flesh. Yeah, I think he's got a pretty good knowledge of technology, and I also think that he is very good with game theory. I think that's probably where he spent a lot of his time for Richard Hart, around that game theory. So yeah, definitely got a lot of skills in that area. I would say, and arguably the best in crypto, based on what I've seen. So yeah. Greg says, Jack, there's a lot of technologists in crypto, very smart crypto technologists, but I definitely think that in terms of the game theory and the tokenomics of crypto, I think that Richard Hart is probably the best. Like the other thing I also think that Richard Hart's got that others haven't got is that he's the only one independent person that I think that's huge in crypto with as one of the, you might call, personalities of crypto that actually has a following big enough to pull these things off, right? I don't know anyone else that could pull these things off that I'm aware of, that's not already running their own tech, the tech leaders. It's nice to listen to, full of weak thought, says Refine. And Gillespie says, a little boy. Brendan says, I hope the stake he did for 1 year pays out and he can eat his words. What else we got going here? Robert says, I am in awe. I just realized Uniswap will be trading through PLX. Mind blowing. And Gillespie bought the top and his stake comes out in September. He will be pleased. And Island Boys says, Brennan, Island Boy. Yeah, there's a song, the Island Boys. They're crazy. Just I think they're about 20, 21 years old, and they're just I think they're twins, and they just crazy guys. And I didn't actually look for them. It just came across my thing from YouTube. I think I was listening to some R&B music or something, and across they came, and I just went, who are these guys? So they were pretty funny. 0%. Wow. I just missed that part. Says Matt. Great. So you're always picking up something. It's always good about that. That's why it's great watching stuff. Appellate says, my first staking ladder starts in September this year. Also, I made a mistake, but I have since made others. All the same, I hope to be pleased. Also, yeah, I would say, yeah, it's definitely getting a good Hex staking ladder is important. So I could borrow at 0%, buy a Bintang, wait till the price goes up and pay it back at 0%. Oh my gosh, that's right, Matt. Like, smash, and subscribe, says Alex Fame, Hex Token. I appreciate that. And Alex Fame says, pretty hyped about the staking ladder for the Hex on Pulse. Yeah, that's going to be a game changer for onboarding. So we've got two things. Hexicans have been trying to onboard people onto Hex for ages. But the big thing, so there's a lot of people waiting. They say, oh, the fees are too much, especially for the smaller retail investor or person that's just new, no coiner that's new. But the second thing, of course, is this bridge. When this bridge open, it's a bit like letting the dam waters out, right? The dam waters are going to flow in here, and of course, they're going to be going into Hex staking. And of course, Hex on Pulse will be super fast, super cheap to stake, do staking ladders. And the S-load function is not controlled by the Vitalik team. It's going to be controlled by the Pulsechain team. So it's pretty cool. Matt and Barley says, any confirmation yet is the loan against only Pulsechain or PulseX? Just Pulse is I understand it, Matt. I don't think PulseX is going to be in it, as far as I've heard. I have heard comments on that. That's why I'm basing on those. Roscoe says the sidelines are packed with people itching to get into Hex. They are, Roscoe. Very good observation. They are. And so once, like I say, it's going to be insane. And we may have, 78,000 stakers at the moment. But that's going to blow up. It's going to blow up into, probably hit that 250,000 number pretty quickly, is my guess, once this happens. And also, Richard Hart's YouTube channel, I don't know if you noticed, but it's growing fast, man. Ever since it hit 100,000, it has grown rapidly since then. And when Pulsechain opens, you got potentially millions of users coming over. Could you imagine his channel? He'll become one of the biggest YouTube channels in crypto. So it's going to be absolutely crazy to watch that. And of course, that just growth breeds more growth, right? It's going to be absolutely insane. All right, very, very cool. Hey, folks, it's been an hour and 25 minutes almost. We've got this Hex price. That's where I'm going to finish on. Let's go to the hourly on this. We're going to get rid of the chart stuff there. Look at that. It's not too bad at the moment. Let's see if we can break this 20 cents. That's what we want to break and get into the 20 cents again. Would be pretty cool. Set us up nicely for our move higher. We've had, obviously, the other thing is we've had a lot of stakes come out, right? So a lot of stakes have come out. I think that we might have probably through a lot of that staking selling, and we've seen a lot of big stakes restaked the last couple of days. I think that's pretty bullish too, and we've talked about that. I've talked about in every day vid. I think that's happening, and I think that we've started to see that just in the last couple of days. Finally, a lot of those OGs ones they've sold down a lot of stuff they wanted to, and maybe they're just starting to restake that big stuff now. So looks promising. Looks promising. Very cool. Nice one. And Tavern says thank you, Hex Token, and another one. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Absolutely. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, hit the bell. We're going to end on an hour and 25 minutes. I think that's pretty good. And let me just type in thanks for watching. And I'm going to post my highlight, of course. Let's go. So paste that, bam, and there we are. So the other thing I was going to look at was just going to cross this off. Let me just close some of these. Let us get into this. I want to post some of these, man. This is going to be so good. Let us get into these. So bam, 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 and bam. I posted that PulseX emoji. That looks so good. And I just wanted to send it out to you guys because that looks really nice with the emoji there. I'm going to post some more there. Let's just get carried away with that. If you're a Hex Token channel member, post some of these emojis on the way out, folks, because it's going to be pretty cool. Look at that. Boom. PulseX looking good there in the chat. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. So nice one. Sam says, woohoo. Thanks, Sam. And nice one. And Bitcoin Beefy says, Hexkins are amazing. Did you all see Crypto Heartbeat show? Yeah. So Crypto Heartbeat was doing a fundraiser, I think, with Rags to Riches for somebody that needed some funds, was under a lot of stress. So it was a big shout out for that. So you're going to see a lot more of that big art in the community. That's really, really great. So thanks, Bitcoin Beefy, for bringing it up. Brendan says, cheers, Hex Token. Hey, most welcome. Rothko says, thanks. You're welcome too. And yes, Beefy, no other community like the Hexkin community. Yeah. So really the Hexkin Pulsechain, PulseX community, I think really going to get that culture of giving and paying forward. And I think that's pretty nice. Brazology, thanks for the show. Hey, thanks, Brazology. Very, very nice. And of course, we've got a few there. Simple Believers in there with the comments. Sam Schaefer's got the emojis looking good. So represent for you guys. Very, very cool. Great to see the channel members posting all those. That's excellent. So nice. Thanks, Hex Token. You did a bomb. Nice one. All right. So that's pretty much it. Matt says, of course, thanks again. Smash the like button. Awesome stuff. All right. Take care. Catch you in the next one. See you tomorrow. Bye for now. Woohoo!